send it to China, to a refinery over there. They do 90% of the world's refining. That's not a supply chain. That's a hostage situation. I've become very interested in this whole business of rare earths, primarily because of my long service as a professional soldier. You begin to have an appreciation for your dependence on rare earths. Our F-35 jets depend heavily on rare earths that are refined almost exclusively in China. Now, that's a very important point because most people think, oh, rare earths are very rare. Not really. We have them in abundance. So you can pull them out, you can extract them. Now, there are people out there that object to that. That's a different issue.
Right.
But fortunately, in the United States right now, we've come around to understanding that's self-defeating. So you can extract them, but then you have to package what comes out and send it to China, to a refinery over there. They do 90% of the world's refining in Mongolia and China. So that makes you here, that's not a supply chain, that's a hostage situation. And I became very interested in that. And then I ended up going down to southern Kentucky, meeting people that are in the coal mining business, but the coal mines essentially stopped. But we discovered that in the seams of the coal mines in southern Kentucky is an abundance of rare earths. So you literally been down there mining for the last 100 years. You have miles and miles of virgin coal, but the stuff that's being mined, they wash it and they weigh it before they ship it out, and then
that's where the minerals are
the minerals wash off the coal into slag heaps and into containment pools. And a professor named Honecker at the University of Kentucky went down and tested and found out, my gosh, the periodic table is sitting here. And so we got very excited about that, but unfortunately at the time we weren't able to get the coal miners excited about it. They were very focused on coal. We kept trying to get them to say, well, let's deal with this rare earth thing first. But then I ran into the refining bottleneck, and that's the problem. Refining is the bottleneck. And that we've got to build our own refinery. And one of the reasons I keep coming here is that we need a refinery that sits on the border between the United States and Canada.
Okay.
Which is close to rail lines. It would be ideal to have it close to Lake Michigan, so you have the water transportation, the rail lines. And that means that whatever we mine here in the United States or Canada can come to this point, and everything can be refined here.
And what's stopping them from doing the refineries? Why haven't they done that yet?
Well, one of the reasons it's given is, well, it's cheaper to send it to China.
Okay.
Because the cost of energy is so high in the United States and Canada. They say it's cheaper to do it over there. Our energy is expensive. It's say instead of 31 cents an hour or something in China, it costs 89 cents an hour.
What would we need to do differently to
We have to subsidize that. We have to subsidize it. And China subsidizes it because they want 30 years of uncontested dominance in rare earth mining. Makes sense, wouldn't you? Well, let's turn it around. Let's build our refinery. It cost about $1.2 billion.
Okay.
Everybody says, oh, well, that's terrible. That's so much. We're wasting so much money right now in defense. It isn't even funny. The president wants to add $500 billion to it, so we're up to $1.5 trillion. We can't audit defense. Nobody knows where all the money goes. It's ridiculous. And somebody just passed a bill because of the president. He wants to build a U.S. naval base on the border, on the coast of Peru, on the Pacific Ocean, ostensibly because Chinese influence in Peru, which is all economic, could become dangerous. Well, putting a U.S. naval base down there, first of all, we don't need it. Complete waste of money for us. And third, the Peruvians do business with the Chinese, but they haven't exactly signed over Peru to China. So I think we need to back off, become more realistic about that. But take that $1.5 billion out, get your refinery built. And then all of us in North America can go to that. Now I'll give you another quick example, and then I'll shut up.
No, that's okay.
Norway just discovered the largest concentration of rare earths in Europe.
Wow.
And it's just off the coast at about 250 feet deep in the ocean, northern Norway. Now, the Norwegian parliament voted not to exploit this, even though it's very, very easy to get to.
Okay.
And relatively cheap to extract for environmental reasons.
Right.
Sounds familiar?
Yep.
Why not send President Trump over there, or get him to go over there, and he's Mr. Deal Maker, cut a deal with the Norwegians. They can, whatever they bring out, we'll refine it for them for nothing for the next 5 or 10 years, whatever it takes. In the meantime, we'll jointly exploit it. We need to do these things.
Yeah.
That's where we ought to be focused. Right now, we put together components for a cell phone, but the cell phone won't operate without the rare earths. So you could be sitting there and suddenly there are no rare earths, or you can't get to them because the Chinese aren't going to refine them fast enough for you. What do you do?
Right.
You're you either find another source, which we don't have right now, or you're out of business. When I was in the military, I was in for 28 years as an officer after I graduated from West Point. Saw combat, all sorts of interesting things. Never realized how important these rare earths were for all of the equipment that we were using. Everything from the satellites that were providing us with global positioning to all of the timing devices, sighting devices. Everything is there. And you don't realize until you find out the hard way that you're hostage to this supply chain.
Right.
And so there's one bureaucrat over in China who has you on a list and decides, well, we'll ship this time to America. We got to get out of that as quickly as possible. A group of coal miners down in southern Kentucky wanted me to come down there and help them if I could reinvigorate the industry. In other words, they wanted to go back in and mine. And I said, look, that's fine. But while I was there, I discovered the rare earths. And I said, right now, you'll make infinitely more money by extracting the rare earths and sending them to be refined than you will shipping out coal. There are lots of people with coal. Now, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it. India and China in particular desperately want coal because, I don't know if you're aware of this, but in China, they don't have the infrastructure developed the way we do.
Okay.
So there are no pipelines for liquefied natural gas or anything like that. But out into the interior of China, everywhere, you have rail lines. Which means coal.
Oh, they can ship the coal, yeah.
So ship the coal on the rail lines, and then you can fire up the coal plants. I couldn't get them interested at the time in the rare earths.
Okay.
It was brand new territory for them. They just knew nothing about it. So we really want to get the coal going.
Okay.
And I said, well, we can get the coal going, but you can get the seed money for what you want to do with coal from rare earths. They had only recently discovered this. There was a man named Dr. Honecker at the University of Kentucky. He has an entire laboratory there, and he went down and tested the coal seams, the slag heaps, the containment ponds. He said, this is the richest, vein of rare earths in any coal mines I've ever seen. And so I went to several people, and I won't mention names, senators on the Hill and elsewhere. Oh, well, that's great there. I think we ought to do that. Nothing happened. It's like everything else. You have to come up with a strategic plan that puts money in everybody's pocket.
Right.
Again, you have President Trump all upset about Greenland. And
but you think he could convince Norway?
I don't think he's even aware of it. I don't know that he's ever been there. The Norwegians, just like the Danes, are wonderful people. They've been good allies forever. And they're one of the richest countries in the world. They have this enormous sovereign wealth fund. So Norway's not going to go out of business anytime soon. But they like to do business with us. They want to do business with us. So I think, I hope that we can ultimately get to President Trump. And this is where he needs to go with his team. It can work. And that's the way you build bridges and cultivate long-term security relationships.
Right.
It doesn't start with buy our bombs and planes. It starts with shared strategic interests like rare earths. First of all, you've got to have somebody in the White House sit down with your leadership up in Canada, because I know you have very, very tight restrictions on mining everything.
So you may have answered this earlier, but what do you think is holding it back right now?
I think the environmental restrictions in Canada are holding everything back.
Got
it. In the United States, we're getting past that. There's a recognition this is national security. And we do a lot better job today than we've ever done before regarding avoiding pollution and poison from various mining operations. And I'm not suggesting that we should ever go to war with China. I'm firmly opposed to that. It's stupid. But why put the future of your country in this critical area in the hands of a competitor? I mean, they are a strategic competitor.
Yeah.
I'm all power to them. That's great. You've done a great job at We need that here.
Right.
And then we need somebody that understands price stability because we're too erratic. We're too up and down in our policy. Excuse me. We've got to guarantee for 30 years price stability. And that's what suppliers need. That's what manufacturers need. If your customers know, I'm always going to pay this price for this raw material or the product.
Right.
And now adjusted for inflation, undoubtedly that'll go on. But if they have some certainty about prices and price stability, I think you can do a lot of things. We haven't done that very well in America right now. And right now with all these sanctions and everything, stuff's out of control. It really needs to stop.
Do you think it's going to slow anytime soon?
I hope so. I think there are people beginning to understand this is causing chaos in the marketplace, and we don't need it. It's bad for business.
Right.
Well, I think it's pretty clear now that we're nearing the end of this long process of fiat currency. In other words, paper currency. We're going to have to back the currency of the future in some other way. Now, half the world is moving in the direction of gold. Can we move in the direction of gold? I don't know that we can. I don't really know how much gold we've got. Remember that Russia probably has the most extensive gold mining system in the world. And there's no sign of that abating. So I think the Russians are in a very strong position there.
I was hearing that China was in a very strong position too, just with like unreported gold through another area.
Well, they're buying it up and have been buying it up for a long time. So I don't have an answer for us on our side, but I think you're going to end up with this BRICS, Brazil, India, China. This is going to grow, and I think they'll probably have 100 members, 100 countries in the world will join that. And people are tired of the way our financial system is structured because we bully people with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to put it. And I think there are a lot of people in Washington that like that. They think it works. I don't. And I think that we have to behave differently. Everybody's moving away from us. If you go to a place like Senegal in West Africa, they have a lot of gold. And they're deeply in debt because of the way the French have handled them. We've handled them, the World Bank and everything else. And so the BRICS crowd, led by Russia and China and so forth, India, they'll say, well, just renounce the debt, join us. And that's going to happen. In other words, you can't gouge your customers forever.
If the viewers would like to learn more about you, follow you anywhere, where should they?
Well, there's a website. I've started something with some friends called the National Conversation, and it's thenationalconversation.org. And go to that website and you'll see a lot of things. I recorded a video program, 11 or 12 minutes, all about these things that I've been discussing. Anybody with an interest in metals and mining.
So geopolitics.
Should and geopolitics,
military,
look at that. But there are a lot of other things on there. What we decided is that we need to start traveling around the country and holding these events.
Right, spread
where
the knowledge.
We don't just talk to the audience. We'll present something and then the audience has a chance to come back to us and tell us what they think. So that's why our theory, our motto, so to say, underneath all this is the mic is yours, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're not limiting topics, but we are very interested in what's going to produce long-term economic prosperity. We're headed into very troubled waters right now. We have to have a way out. Where are we going to put the emphasis? What are we going to develop? What do we exploit? We have everything that any nation could wish for. You and we both have.
Right.
How do we get out of our own way? That's the issue.
And have some change for the future.
Right.
Wow. Okay, well, really nice to meet you, Colonel. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your insight. It was a pleasure to meet you.
All right. Good to meet you as well.
Thank you.